see. Here they come. Pleasure. So we'll let them settle themselves in. And then before we get into a little bit of panel discussion around finance transformation, as I said, we'll let them introduce themselves. So, ladies first.
Hi everybody. I'm Rachel Lawrence. I work for a bank as a CFO of Allied Irish Banks in the UK. So my role is all encompassing in terms of what we're responsible in finance for, but also have the joy of working in a bank with a regulator who is extremely interested in what we're doing. I also sit on the board, so I have all the governance that sits around that. So a reasonably big job, pushed around all over the place. Try my best not to get too much involved in all the governance stuff and try and do the stuff that we've been talking about today around strategy and supporting the CEO and the business.
I'm Magdalena. I work for a much smaller business than Rachel, so pretty humble to video. I work for a fitness business where we own and operate high-intensity fitness studios. I also sit on the board, so I deal with issues around strategy, but being a small business, it's really a hands-on role, doing anything and everything, and I get involved in HR matters, operations, and anything else that really needs doing.
Okay, so finance transformation is the topic, and I've got a few questions to start some discussion, but certainly if anybody has a burning question in the room, hand up and you can dive on in, yeah? Okay, look forward to seeing that. So, first of all, so we're going to talk about finance transformation and perhaps business transformation. So just a question first of all, do you feel that as CFOs you would like to play more of a part in what the wider business is doing from a transformational point of view?
Yes, I'm a great advocate of that. You can spend your time doing the accounting. You get things working in the way that it should be. But I think finance people by nature have a great deal to offer businesses. And if you can get to a place where you've got enough time to be out there. I spend a good proportion of my time meeting our customers, which some of them find quite strange when I turn up. But it really gives you a great insight as to what we're actually trying to deliver, what our purpose is as a bank. And you tend to find that you can forget that sitting in a room doing accounting or doing the planning. So I think finance people by nature have a great deal of experience, and we should, as the previous guy was saying, we should be spending our time educating others around financial expertise and also supporting all of our business lines in terms of what we can offer. So yes, we're good at numbers, so we keep them in check, which is also good. We just go through big transformational projects and they can be unwieldingly big and you forget actually what you're trying to deliver. So we have the ability then to kind of ground that into numbers, which helps people keep themselves on track. So yeah, I'm a great advocate of finance people being out in business.
I would very much agree with that. I would almost sort of take it a step further in at least our business, where I think finance people need to drive very often transformation in businesses. I think very often CEOs get pulled in so many different directions, and they kind of deal with the big picture of the company and the strategy, and finance is really the kind of first place where we see the numbers and we see the actual impact. And as Steve was saying, what does the actual strategy mean, and how does it translate into numbers, and has the company delivered on that strategy in terms of the numbers? So we're really the first people that kind of see that information, and I think we should play definitely a really big part in driving that transformation and initiating that transformation, because we have a better view very often than different parts of the business on that, because it all sort of ends up concentrating in the finance side.
Just building on this theme, the question I had over lunch was, so you want to play more of a part, and you feel you have lots to give. Have you got any sort of practical advice for people on how you actually make that happen? If perhaps your time poor, or perhaps the business sees finance somewhat to the sidelines and they don't understand that actually you've got lots to give. Have you got any advice for maybe people in the room who want to do all of that but for whatever reason can't?
I'd say be proactive, stick your nose in.
Stick your nose in. Yeah.
You tend to find if you go up and say, can I help? Most people don't say no, go away, especially if you've got something to offer. So I think it's a mindset. So traditionally, finance people would want to necessarily sit there and be bean counters. That's what we've been called for many years. So it's our job to go out there and influence. So, the reason I go to see customers, things that people think of me not just as a finance person, but as an advocate of our business. And so I think it's on us. So I wouldn't say we shouldn't stop. No one should stop you from doing anything, in my opinion. If you think you have something to add to it, then you should go out and try and influence the organisation to take it on board.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Go out there and talk to your teams, talk to operations, talk to marketing. The first thing when I joined the company, what my CEO said, I don't want the finance people to be the quiet people in the room or sitting somewhere separately. We want you to be, with the business, sitting together with the rest of the team, and really being integrated. And that's the way we operate. Is we constantly, meet with other heads of departments. We regularly discuss. I mean, we're a relatively small company and we're on a relatively small management team, so it's relatively easy to do that. I can appreciate big companies, there's more logistics to that. But definitely kind of being out there and being not just seen, but actually, as Richard says, proactively, asking the questions and being interested and offering to help. Again, especially in small teams, it is very important.
Thank you. So, the day's about automation, AI, change, robots, call it what you will. So it'd be interesting just to understand, your views on all of that, perhaps where you are in the journey that we keep talking about, perhaps what you're able to share in terms of automation that you've embraced and how that's maybe helped the business. So there's a multiple set of questions and quite a broad topic, but Magdalena knows first.
So I mean, we are in our infancy stage in terms of automation. Unfortunately, I think as a lot of you have mentioned in the room, we also use a lot of Excel. We're a very data-rich company. We're a small company, but we're a very data-rich company, and the volume of data and our ability to process that data with Excel. We're starting to reach the limits of what we can do actually. So we are looking at other systems, other tools that we can use. We're also working with other providers that manage some of that data for us, and we're working together to help them improve their systems. So there's a collaboration going on here. Our booking system, when people come into our classes and book themselves in, is done by a company out of the US who is also essentially a startup. And when I joined and I initially had my first call with them and explained to them how we use the data and what type of information we need to get out of the system, they were just mind-blown. They said, you're our most sophisticated customer. No one uses the data out of our system in such a sophisticated way. So we've been working with them, trying to help them improve their system effectively, which will ultimately help us get the right data out of the system for our information purposes.
Yeah, I've worked in banking for the last 10 to 12 years, and I started in startups. So I worked for a company called Metro Bank from the beginning, and I've now ended up in a very mature bank. And the difference between the technology and the automation is immense. And probably one of the biggest shocks I had when I joined a mature company, thinking it may have some benefits, but from a technology point of view, they are so far behind. It's really hard. All of the big banks in the UK try to do all this stuff, but they are put together by many, many years of history and many, many different systems which don't always talk together. And you will see in the press TSB going wrong. In the banking arena, you just can't play with our systems. It takes so much time and energy to make sure that you don't do anything innocuous that would create a problem for customers out there. So actually trying to automate banking is really hard. Even though we say we're all digital, actually what's going on behind the back is not always as sophisticated as you may think. Finance, there's loads of stuff out there. Most reasonably sized finance functions now have automation in terms of accounts payable, with learning software on optical recognition, which is kind of the very beginning part of AI. And we are looking, as many of the large banks are, at the repetitive processes that you do within finance functions as well as within customer services, so how you can put AI into that. And I work for an Irish bank, so the head office is in Dublin, and you can go in there and you find little robots walking around and stuff like that. So there's a great deal of really, yeah. Some of a robot in the corner. And actually, I've been to Graphic Accenture, so I've been to the Dock, which is in Dublin, which is one of Accenture's innovation hubs as well. And they've got some very odd things going on in there in terms of some of the developments. But finance needs to wake up to it, because a good proportion of what we do is repetitive, and we should embrace it. And it allows us to actually do some of the stuff that we really enjoy doing, which is adding value, providing insight. We all sit there and complain, if only we could get the month end done quicker, we could actually add some more value. And this kind of technology will hopefully allow us to do that. And also from a planning perspective, you'll get all of the joys of predictive analysis, so you won't have to sit there and input stuff. You get a great source of data. So it's hard, but we will become irrelevant unless we actually embrace it.
Bit sober, isn't it?
Sorry.
No. So, it leads me to ask my next question, which builds on some comment from the room about the people in your teams. How does this sit with them? They look forward to it. They worry. How do you engage people on this journey that, to use your words, may mean that some of them may become irrelevant? Some thoughts on that would be very interesting.
Well, I work again with a very lean team, so I just have a financial controller and a bookkeeper, and that's it really.
That isn't it?
So I don't think that they're in fear of their job being redundant. I think they are so snowed under with the amount of data and information that we are trying to process with such a small team, that they absolutely welcome the automation, and we're working quite hard, as I said, with external providers and internally, to try to automate some of that. As Rachel said, we've also went through a process of trying to automate invoices and processing those. Again, with a very small team, it was becoming impossible to just process the number of invoices that we were getting. So going to a more automated process has helped that. We're not really where we want to be yet, but it's a journey, and things are getting better and things are improving. And my team definitely embrace that, and are looking forward to getting it smoother.
I have a slightly different model, so we're part of a large group. So when I joined Frank a couple of years ago, finance had gone through a massive transformation, and we had centralised all of the accounting operations into Dublin. So the team I have is about 30, and they do none of the operational finance stuff. So we are there as a function to provide oversight and sign off to everything that's provided to us, and we partner the business. That's principally what we're there for. So that in itself brings a number of cultural and ways of working issues within the finance team, because the vast majority of them were there originally and were doing the roles that have now been outsourced to a group function, and that involves very, very different skills. It's a lot of influencing, a lot of relationship building with the outsourced providers, and there's an internal outsource which also creates its own issues. So they're used to going through change, but there is a vast difference between doing the roles that they did do and what they do now. I've probably got a dividing line in the middle of my team that there are the traditionalists who do a great job, are very steady, very committed to what they do, but don't necessarily have the lens to want to change. And they've been in the roles. This is an Irish bank. They're very friendly, they're very family orientated, and I've never met so many people that have joined from school and are still there. So you've got a lot of cultural things around people who've been doing things the same way for many, many years. So we're still on a really long journey, to try and change that kind of perception of what finance is there for, and even more so with my team because they don't do the operational stuff. So if they're not doing that, what are they doing? And they should be adding value all day long, really, to the business. It is difficult, very.
What a contrast. I'm going to pause there, just in case there are any burning questions from the floor. Something may have been sparked by what was said. Question at the back?
Yeah. In a lot of organisations I work with, finance and business strategy are in the same unit. I wasn't quite clear, particularly from Rachel's discussion, whether there's a separate business strategy unit that's doing a lot of the sort of business partner role of finance that we've been hearing about, and whether the CFO is being pushed into the disruption bit, how it's working. Could you elaborate on that? Thank you.
My team in the UK is business partnering, so we spend our time doing strategy and business partnering. We have a group strategy function, which is in Ireland, so we integrate with those, but we are firmly, my particular role is firmly by the side of the CEO, and we are very lucky in that respect that I don't get too much pulled into the day-to-day activities of a finance function because it's all outsourced. So yeah, my team is there for strategy, and it's very much a strategic, which is why I have issues with some of the people and the skills that they currently have. They need to be upskilled in the ability for them to look out rather than, or look forward rather than look back, as I call it, rather than traditionally looking at what the number said, rather than thinking what the number is and what we should be doing with the number and how we can actually change the dial going forward. So yeah, it is strategy that I'm heavily involved in.
Thank you.
Well, I work again, like I said, in a very small company, so we do everything. I'm part of a 3-person senior management team, so absolutely, most of my job, involves kind of like this, strategy discussions and big picture, and we're a fast-growing business, and we're looking at, other revenue streams and international expansion. So the business is changing incredibly fast. And these discussions are constantly going on, and I'm at the centre of these discussions. But at the end of the day, there's also the day job, and my team and I are also responsible for the kind of day-to-day finance operations. So I do kind of both sides of it.
I just wanted to ask you about this economic model of, I was lucky enough to work in an industry where we had business partnering 20 years ago, 15 years ago, we just didn't call it business partnering, but never mind, it was that. And then, of course, for saving money, we started to sort of outsource the lower level financial activities, what is going to be in the future all done by artificial intelligence, etc., etc. But the problem then has become, because the polarization of business or finance skills, whereby you have a unit which is sort of doing the low-level work, if you wish, the financial, monotonous part of financial work, and the other one which is doing the business partnering role, the sort of like management support, etc., and the top end of the financial reporting, if you wish, KPIs, etc. So how it is going to work economically if you then bring in all these new skills? As you mentioned, you have a full team of business partners now in between this kind of two ends, which is yourself probably, or the top finance team in Ireland, those people who have been doing the role for 35 years, etc. And then you bring in terms of does it work economically, i.e., can you contribute enough for these people who are doing the business supporting function? Because we actually outsourced them 15 years ago, most of us, for most of the businesses, to save money, except that there was no communication between the two.
My experience working in finance, we've always had business partnering. So it's never been outsourced, because I find you can't outsource something that is so inherently relationship-led, because kind of you to understand the business, you have to be in the business. The word partnering, just standing by the side of the people that you're supporting in the business. So I don't see that there's a good big gap. I feel quite privileged in the way that I have my finance function set up, because I don't have to do journals or the payroll or any of that stuff, because it's outsourced. And because it's a bank, it's a UK legal entity, and it's driven by a separate regulator. We have our own board. We have to be independent. So all of the stuff that we expect our group to be doing, we have to do locally anyway. So it's like a standalone entity in its own right. So we don't have the our Irish group detailing our strategy. That is something that we talk to our shareholder, which happens to be the group, but it's actually no different than if you had a PE-backed business and a different shareholder, or if you're a public company and you're shareholders, you're still making those decisions. So I think in terms of economics as to what you pay for, if you can't prove that the work that you're doing with the business is adding value, then you shouldn't be there. So I think it's our responsibility to ensure that we have enough knowledge and we can share those skills that we drive the business profitably, we look for different revenues, and we have that finance hat on rather than necessarily the business having a much more of a customer or operational hat on. I think the three marry very well together and you end up with an outcome that ultimately drives the business for growth as well as bottom line.
No.
Oh, lay it back.
Hello, thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. I just wanted to have this question not only to the ladies at the panel, but to everyone. It's about finance transformation. Just a couple of years ago, the standard definition of finance transformation was around this figure. The percentage of the cost of total finance department as a percentage of revenue. And so many companies around the globe, they're trying really to drive this figure down. I remember 3 years ago, I was in Philips in Amsterdam talking to the finance director, transformation director, and they were giving me figures. Oh, it used to be 2.2%, now it's 1.7%. But there are some companies now that have this 0.7%. So the question that I have to everyone, if we are talking about forward-looking finance, before using this figure for finance transformation, probably it needs investments in systems and processes, in redefining our models, using artificial intelligence, and then probably we will talk about finance transformation as a percentage of revenue. So can we say that there is a reporting that probably the figure is going down because a lot of automation around the place? But the reality is that budgeting and planning, it needs investments at the moment. I just came back from China 2 weeks ago, so I've seen these traditional Chinese companies that already allocated hundreds of millions in their budget. They're transformation directors from companies like Huawei, like Alibaba. They're traveling the world. They're speaking to the leading consultants, to the leading case studies, to the leading companies about using artificial intelligence, going beyond budgeting, using in finance, using data scientists and so on and so forth. So I would say that China is definitely making incredible progress at the moment. I was really, really surprised with this. So my question is, and this is to the whole audience, what in reality is finance transformation? Would we agree that it needs investments? And how we can actually justify those investments to our lives? Because investments, it's very difficult thing to ask the board of directors. So what is happening in your companies and how do you do this?
So, shall the panel go first or the floor? Because the lady gallantly opened it to
and then
everybody.
if people from the audience can answer, it would be wonderful.
Panel first then, ladies. Any thoughts, observations?
You're absolutely right. I mean, it is very, very hard to ask for money for investment, and especially for things like automation, because companies are trying to do more with less these days, and boards are trying to do more with less. Yesterday I was at a CBI reception, and there was an interesting statistic, which I think is quite relevant in the sense that somebody said the UK is one of the sort of best innovators in the world. There's so much innovation going on in universities and innovation centres, but very little of that innovation is then actually implemented in businesses. And if only a percentage of that innovation was actually implemented in businesses, and therefore, we could increase productivity and we could just be better at what we're doing, it would add something like 100 billion to the GDP. And it's a staggering number. It's that problem of, there is already enough out there for us to be better and more efficient at our jobs, and for the finance team to be, quicker in providing the information and getting the information. We talked about, artificial intelligence and so on, and how that can help. But it is still very, very hard to get people on board in order to spend that money and in order to make that investment. I think, progress is being made, but that jump from actually, those capabilities being available and then being implemented in companies, that process is still very, very slow.
Yeah, I would say that you kind of need to break the costs down. So working in a bank, there is a cost of being a bank. You've got large compliance functions, massive amount of regulatory reporting. That's a cost of business. So you need to slice that off. And in terms of being able to get investment to technology, again, it comes back to the strategy and the forward-looking thinking of the organisation, because there's lots of quotes around saying banking. There's a quote that says, we're going to see more change in banking in the next 10 years than we've seen in the last 100. So if you believe that, then you will have to invest. Otherwise, you'll be irrelevant in the market. And banking in particular, there's a massive amount of innovation. There's a major amount of startup banking, and there's also very much an widening of the marketplace around open banking and APIs, so that the marketplace will change in the way that people bank and take services will change. So it comes back to strategy and how far forward you're looking as an organisation as to whether or not you get that business case put together with an ROI that isn't short term, but it's long term, or it's got an ROI that's predicated on the fact that if you don't do it, you'll be the next Kodak or the next Yellow Pages or whatever the other big thing that fell off the cliff because they didn't think further forward than the next 3 to 5 years. So putting a finance hat on, you can't just look at these kind of business cases that come back, even if it's a finance business case relating to finance automation. It's got to be a package, and you've got to look at what gets the best bang for your buck at the end of the day. And there are a number of things you can do around data which will help organisations across the board, in both multiple organisations as well as the functions within those organisations. So it is difficult, and it is, but I would actually think of finance in chunks, and there's parts of finance that you just, it's really hard to put a case together to automate something because it's never going to pay. So you just need to get better with the technology you might have. Still some technology for another department that's paying for it. Just tag on it. There's loads of things you can do. You just need to think outside the traditional mindset.
Are there any sort of comments from the floor? Right next to you, right at the back.
Hello, can you hear me? Sam Brandon, Commondale. Just one of the interesting things I've noticed is looking through various finance functions, particularly on the business partnering side. You can invest in huge teams, but actually what we find is that we work training people with management skills, finance skills, all those sorts of things that business does. And what we found is a lot of people in business don't have the confidence to bring business cases forward to have that innovation to look at that challenge, including in the finance departments. Either they haven't been skilled on strategy or commercial awareness, so they might know their area well. But once they're we have found that actually people have made substantial changes to organisations as a result. We realise, wait, you mean I can actually put a business case forward? They haven't been empowered to do that. And so what we're finding is actually that there is a lot around automation, but there's almost a step before that, which is sort of making people realise that they can start to think. Because if things come from business, then the finance and business work together in a commercial strategic proposal that is more likely to carry weight and get things done at the board. That's just our experience.
Thank you. Any other thoughts on this topic from the floor? I mean, a perspective I would just sort of share on this. So every company group is different. terms of effectively who holds the purse strings and who makes the decisions. But an observation I would make, because typically I would say investment usually tends to initially go to what is called customer-facing, generic phrase, serving the customer because therefore they have a better experience, even though I empathise with behind closed doors. It might be somewhat less automated and what have you, having worked at a bank myself. But a perspective I took was there will come a point that the business, customer-facing side of things will be so far advanced, I'll put that down, advanced from perhaps the support functions where finance sits, that they will not be able to move any faster because you can only move as fast as your limiting factor. And so if finance can't keep up and doesn't have that investment, the business will ultimately suffer. And so it's finding a way, I think, to unpick whatever framework you have to get funding, because every company in my experience is different, to try and advocate that ultimately an investment over here will pay dividends by actually being able to realise all of the investment you've actually made in the business. Otherwise, they will get stuck because you will not be able to provide the support. So that's something that I would share. I hate to say it, sometimes you have to find a way to play the system. And that is easier sometimes depending where you sit. But I hope that's helpful. Any other questions from the floor or comments anybody wishes to make? So let me do. I just wondered actually, is it good being in finance at the moment? We've heard a couple of views. We've heard we might be irrelevant. We've had it, Accenture saying it's the most exciting time to be in finance. We've got finance holograms who may take our jobs. We've got 4 people who are worried about things. What do you think?
I think it's a very exciting time. I mean, I think the role of the CFO is changing and broadening so much that, I think, as you said, in the past, people were sort of seen as bean counters. I think the role has changed and grown into so many different areas. Like I said, I sort of cover operations and HR, compliance and legal.
You have everything.
So I think the smaller the business, the kind of more nimble you have to be because you've got limited resources. But I think that makes it really, really exciting because it means that your job is incredibly vast and incredibly diverse and you get different challenges every day. So, I don't feel in any way, like I'm going to be kind of made, like my job's going to be useless anytime soon. So yeah, I think it's absolutely exciting times, and I think that role is just going to get bigger and bigger.
I would echo it. I mean, I love my job. In all honesty, it's hard, but I get involved in so many interesting things, and I have a great CEO which I'm a partner, and have a great finance function. As I said, I'm lucky because I don't have to do some of the stuff that is a bit more traditional and process orientated. But I agree. I think there is so much more that CFOs could do, and I think the floor is there for us, and lots of the stuff at Accenture and many of the other consulting firms put out that it's all the same. It's all about partnering. It's all about using your expertise and not pigeonholing yourself. We're not bean counters. We have a great deal to offer to businesses, and you see a lot of people. In the past, probably more, and not so much now. But, the natural movement for CFOs is to a CEO's role, or you come out and go and run a P&L centre. You get a great deal of opportunity. And I definitely would love the job. I think it's a great job, and I think there's a good deal of stuff that we can still do.
Great job, everybody. There's some nods, bit of smiling. Okay, just before we officially wrap up, I'll just in case a burning question has suddenly come to the front of your mind, just one last opportunity for anybody. I feel like an auctioneer. It's really down here. Oh, I thought I nearly had a hand there. But no. if you twitch, you might suddenly get asked the question. Anyway, so maybe any just sort of final last remarks, advice for the CFO crowd in terms of automation, just to close with?
You know, I think my advice would be, you know, embrace it. I think, you know, from my perspective, it's something that makes the job easier. I don't see it as a threat. You know, I think, you know, we shouldn't run away from it. And I you know, like somebody said, I don't think that we can. I think it's there and it's there to stay. And I think it's there to evolve. And I think it's about using it to the, you know, to its maximum effectively. And I think, you know, people adapt and people change, and as we get more automation, people's jobs will change. But I don't see that as a bad thing.
Yeah, I agree with everything Magdalena says. I think you kind of need to put it into perspective that if you looked at the finance function 20 years ago to what it is today, it's changed. So this is just change. And we'll look different in 20 years' time as well. I think the positive of that is that actually some of the stuff that you might have had to do will no longer be there, which allows us to use that resource in ways that are much more fulfilling as a role. And we can actually prove that there's some great career paths for finance people in organisations in the future. So yeah, embrace it, enjoy the challenge of having to change, because it's boring if you don't change, in my opinion.
And I think, you know, to your point, where if you can park all the kind of day-to-day process stuff, actually that, you know, leaves time for you to do a lot more of the value-add stuff, which is, for me, the more exciting stuff. You know, the kind of process and just day-to-day operations, they have to be there. But the more you can automate that, it frees up your time to do more of the thinking. And so it makes, you know, you a much more valuable asset. So yeah, I don't see it as a threat. I think it's a good thing.
What an uplifting way to finish the session. So thank you both. Thank you, Magdalena and Rachel. So shall we... So we now have